August 4th, 2002, there took place an event like no other yet seen in Britain. The fastest road cars in the UK came together to prove which was indeed the fastest. Front, rear and four-wheel drive cars clashed in a test of power and handling. These incredible cars would be fast on any racetrack, anywhere in the world, except that these cars are not racing cars. They're all road-legal cars that can be taken out on a leisurely Sunday afternoon drive, except this was not your typical Sunday afternoon. The competitors and their support vehicles began to arrive very early at Elvington Airfield near York. Conditions were a bit damp early on, but would quickly dry, much to the relief of the two-wheel drive cars, while disappointing the four-wheel drive cars that would love nothing more than a bit of rain. A bit of rain here and there won't make that much difference, as the surface here at Elvington dries very quickly. It's also very abrasive, providing fantastic grip that will help thrust these cars to absolutely staggering speeds in amazing times. Over 70 drivers and car owners are in the paddock checking out the competition, asking questions of themselves and of their machinery. Who's here? Who's not? What are my chances? And will my car last? The answers to some of those questions are hard to come by. Will my car last? Well, it's highly likely that quite a few cars won't last the day. What are my chances? As it's the first time an event like this has been run, then who knows which cars have real speed? Figures on paper and dyno-graphs now count for nothing. Now it's time to get real. Along with the competitors, the crowds began to arrive early. This was a good time to have a look at the cars and see what modifications have been carried out. Get some info, speak to the drivers and mechanics, and gather whatever knowledge they could. The cars here today are the cream of the crop, the fastest road-legal cars in the UK. And whatever work has been carried out on them is to be taken very seriously. These cars have been invited from an elite list from the top car clubs in the UK. So let's see who's here. The Class A front-wheel drive cars are RS Turbo Escorts, Fiestas and Focus Z-Techs from the RS Owners Club. The Rover groups have sent over some of their fastest, including the MG Maestro T16. The Class B rear-wheel drive cars. Toyota Supras gathered from the Supra Internet chat groups. The RS Owners Club have gathered together their quickest two-wheel drive Sierra Cosworths. Dodge Vipers from the Dodge Viper Club. A couple of rather mean-looking RX-7s. A Porsche GT2 from the 200 Plus Club. One Fisher Fireblade owned and driven by Martin Bell. A Road Legal Track Day Special. Probably the fastest ever Ford Granada, owned and driven by Steve Ross, with a 4.6-litre V8 twin-turbo setup, and a Ford Transit van with added Cosworth power. Now onto the four-wheel drive cars. Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 4s and 5s and 6s, with the Mitsubishi Lancer Register, GTIRs from GTIR Groups, Sierra and Escort Cosworths from the RS Owners Club. Again, every car with a proven 500-plus brake horsepower, Subarus from the Subaru Internet Group, ScoobyNet. Skylines, monsters from the Skyline GTR Register, all rated at over 500 brake horsepower, including a couple of 700 brake horsepower Megalodons. And a Golf, and yes, it's a four-wheel drive with a tidy Audi Quattro turbo engine and transmission installed. Okay, that's the cars. Time now to get to the action. Thousands of people are here to watch the first ever running of this event. This is the first time that a competition like this has been run. So let's go through the basics of the competition. All the cars are road legal, taxed, tested and insured. Any fuel and nitrous is allowed, but tyres must be road legal. The four fastest cars from each of the three classes qualify for the finals, with their fastest time over 500 metres. 500 metres being the only internationally recognised distance for an event of this kind. The four fastest cars from each class then meet in the semi-finals, which will be raced out as the first across the line. The two winning semi-finalists will then meet each other in the final to find the overall class winner. The fastest front-wheel drive car then races the fastest rear-wheel drive car to find the overall two-wheel drive winner. He or she will then take on the four-wheel drive winner to determine the overall champion. In addition, there's a competition for the top speed of the day in each class. In one lane, cars may continue past their 500 metres run for the full length of the 1.25-mile runway. Expect speeds of over 180 miles an hour. It's not just about power though. The fastest cars aren't necessarily those that can go fast in a straight line. The handling competition will sort out if these monster power cars can make the turns or not, or just go off in a cloud of screeching tyres. The circuit will find that out, and we'll find out which is the best handling car by whoever sets the fastest lap of the day. The best handling car or overall shootout winner really can come from any of the cars and classes here. The paddock here today is without doubt the greatest collection of modified cars ever assembled in the UK. The winner of the 10 of the best shootout can undoubtedly claim to have the fastest road-legal car in the UK. And we're about to find out who that is as the competition is about to get ready to start. The drivers get ready and begin to queue up at the start line. Nobody wants to be the first to go out. The track is still a bit damp but drying fast. In the meantime, the action has already started on the handling circuit. Let's have a look at handling circuit and see what the cars and drivers are going to face as we ride with Jason Hulbert in his Mitsubishi Evo 4 RS. This is a seriously sorted early version Lancer. Features forged pistons, rods and upgraded turbo and a Motec ECU on the engine side. As we mentioned before, the track is very abrasive, but it can easily catch you out as well. Look how close those cones are together. You've got to get the turns just right. So plenty of twists and turns and one or two that might just catch you out. Not all of them exactly the same, and it tightens up right there at the end. First out with the Dodge Vipers. Where did they come from? Nobody expected to see these guys out first. Now let's see how this Viper handles this circuit. A lot of power, rear-wheel drive, remember, and a V8 engine. And we get a little bit out of shape there, probably touching the brakes too early there, then into the left-hander. Still a few damp patches out there. Ooh, and a little bit too much power going through that left-hander there. And it's definitely a lot to handle and get right. A lot of power down there, and this isn't the best of performances we're going to see today, but he's doing a good job of holding on to the power, trying to get it down a little too much there, and then finally through the last part. The next Dodge Viper lined up is owned and driven by Nadine Geary. She tells us about her pride and joy.
Well, the car is a Dodge Viper GTS. It's a 97 model. They only made the blue and white in 97. I bought mine in 98. It's got an 8-litre V10 engine in it, 6-speed manual gearbox, rear-wheel drive, huge big tyres on it. Mods I've done, I've had a custom made stainless steel exhaust put on it, put the wing on myself as well, a few little aerodynamic aids, a few little tinkers here and there, just help airflow and so on into the engine. Can't get enough of it.
Nadine clearly loves driving her car. In fact, she doesn't just love driving it, she actually loves it so much she's now become rather too attached to it. She tells us how.
Well, married to the car.
What other tattoos have you got?
There's a few other tattoos. I've got Viper on my back. There's a chassis number there.
And on the back?
And then on the back, there's Viper on the back.
Does that hurt? Yeah!
The sun began to come out, more spectators arrived, and the track began to dry. The crowd waited patiently. It wasn't long before the first cars were ready to come out on the drag strip. The first one out was Ronnie in his Nissan Skyline R33 against Glenn Horncastle in his Skyline R34. The first run of the day, and they were bound to take it easy. Or so we thought.
Simon, can you tell us when the test track is going to start?
Oh, Ronnie just floors it. Glenn's stuck on the line. And look at Rocket Ronnie. Flies away. Not worried about the wet at all. He just got straight into action. And he's going to win that by a country mile. But it's the times that matter. Glenn having to wait and get behind him. After that stunning first run, all the other competitors get lined up and ready to go. Next up, it's Paul Ripley in his 220 brake horsepower Class A Fiesta Z-Tech Turbo against Sean Terry's Class B Toyota Supra. The Supra on the right, and away they go from the start line. Not a brilliant start by the Ford, but away they go and starting to gather speed now. Surely the Supra's got the legs, but you're not so sure. I'll tell you what, the Z-Tech engine turbo is really pulling hard, and it looks as though Paul Ripley's going to take that, and he certainly does, ahead of the Supra. That was a seriously fast Fiesta. We spoke to Paul and asked him about his car.
It's a Ford Fiesta Turbo,
It's running a 2-litre ZTEC engine with a hybrid T3 turbo. It's a low compression lump. That's basically it. The rest of it's got like a special map on it, bigger injectors, better air filter, and like stainless steel exhaust. So, but it's just a good combination. It seems to be working well for the RS turbos at the moment. So, because it's a 2-litre engine, there's loads of low down torque, and it sort of pulls and pulls, and then the turbo kicks in, and it's just mental. So, it's nice to drive on the road, and then when you want to give it some, it's even better. So, yeah, I can't fault it. You have to get used to the stiff clutch and sort of revving it a little bit harder to get it moving, but it's not a problem. So it's not an everyday car for me, so it's always a pleasure to drive here, definitely.
Steve Scott on the right-hand side of the course in the Focus rear-wheel drive WRC versus Jonathan Urry in the Nissan GTI R, the black car on the left. But away they go. Not a good start at all by Steve Scott. He got stuck on the line there. And look at Urry, he's in one. Away he goes, but surely the Focus will come good at the end. And sure enough, there he goes. An all-Japanese affair here. Jason Hulbert in the Mitsubishi Evolution 4 versus James Kazim in the Nissan GTI R. But away goes the Mitsubishi, and Hulbert's way to a flyer. What a great start there in that Evolution 4. Now James Kazim trying to get up speed in the Nissan, but it looks as though it's going to be Hulbert all the way to the line, and it is. Back in the paddock, Ronnie was not looking very happy. Mechanics were working away under the car on the front splitter of his Skyline.
On the first run I hit a big bump and it just broke off just towards the end of the run. Obviously it was the first run of the day anyway. I was the first person to run, and I must have found the biggest pothole in the place, and I hit it and it just ripped the front spoiler completely off. So.
Ron's moment at 190 miles an hour could have completely destroyed his expensive splitter, and God knows what else, but Skylines are a bit tougher than that. The guys from Abbey Motorsport are determined to fix it and soon get the job done. Now let's see how well the Ford Focus handles on the handling course now with Steve Scott on board with him, and it's quite bumpy as you can see, but he really is going for it. Look at that, plenty of oversteer. Oh, and he's having a good time out there. Through the gears now, a little bit faster, takes that left-hander nice and smooth through there, but again, gets it a little out of shape, get on the exit. A lot of power, remember, on the Ford Focus, and you'd expect this car to handle well through here. Trying to keep it as smooth as he can now, going through the gears, getting a little bit faster. And remember, some of these corners are a little bit tighter than perhaps you'd expect, and Steve Scott, though, is going for it every moment, and he really is working that car. Scott Parker now on track with a Subaru Impreza. This is a UK 300 version. Performance pack options also listed amongst those modifications, a CO2 intercooler spray system. Now, how does Scott Parker going to spray around this track? He's got a little bit of understeer going through there, a little bit of work needed, but of course this is another rally veteran, so it should handle well, but he's really pushing it hard. Through the last section now, last couple of corners, but he's looked good, very fast, and obviously great handling capabilities, and out he goes to the end. The weather was warming up. The competition was getting very hot. A bit too hot, especially for the spectacular looking Focus ZTEC Turbo of Ian Howell of Fiesta Frenzy fame. With over 340 brake horsepower and torque to match, Ian has been struggling to find a gearbox and diff to cope, which is what looks like has failed this time. Keith Taylor's Escort RS Turbo is another home-built special with a ZTEC CVH conversion under the bonnet. So the white and green Simon Norris's Mitsubishi Evo 5 versus Michael White. Ironically in black in the Subaru Legacy R on the left-hand side. Norris's Evo is an uprated 587 brake horsepower, and he uses all of it off the start. It's got 500-pound torque and he's using every bit of it. Michael's is a Legacy with 1990 RS, and it can't hold a torch to the Mitsubishi. Simon Norris's Evo 5 continued on the 1.25 mile straight and clocked the fastest top speed of 187.1 miles per hour in a distance of just over a mile. A fantastic time. Now this should be fun. Nadine Geary's Dodge Viper GTS versus Leon Green's Toyota Supra Turbo. America versus Japan, this the ultimate video game war, but this is for real. Nadine on the right then. Away they go. Good power off the start by the Supra as you'd expect, but the Viper surely will come good in the mid-range. Through the gears they go then. Nadine Geary's Viper's going to take it, but only just, and she does. Up next, it's Scott Parker's Subaru Impreza versus Henry's Skyline R33 GTR. The Skyline on the left then. The Subaru gets away well, nice and smoothly. A better start though by the Skyline, but what was that? A lot of dust and dirt coming out of the Skyline. Looks like they missed a gear. Something went wrong there, but he's still going. But it looks as though Scott Parker's got problems and it's going to be Henry's Skyline surely. No, it's not. Well, that's a close one. So Martin Bell in the Fisher Fury Fireblade, a car designed for racing but of course still road legal with those road tyres on, but should handle very well through this course, and so far he's looking very good and very quick indeed through that left-hander. No problems there, very smooth and gets on the power early, but this is just hanging to the road and gripping very well indeed. And in fact Martin would set a time that wouldn't be beaten by any other Class B car. Up next, Ian Blundell's RS Turbo. This, of course, a front-wheel drive. Let's see how he handles the course. Away he goes through the gears. Now into the first turn. On board with him now. Not having to fight it too much. Plenty of grip in the RS Turbo, but really pushing hard and really using that front-wheel drive all the way here. And this is very fast. Oh, he's got it sideways there, almost on two wheels. Look at the concentration on his face. Ian Blundell setting the fastest time for a front-wheel drive by far. Excellent stuff by him. Now a slightly older version, the Mitsubishi Evo 4 of Jason Hulbert, but can it match the next generation? Well, he's looking like he might do so far. This a Class C Mitsubishi Evolution 4. And Jason doing an excellent job so far. Hard on the brakes there and into that left-hander. But a beautifully designed car, this. And it's proved it in rallies over the years, and it's proving it here on the handling course. Jason Hulbert at the wheel doing an excellent job of directing it through the cones. And very smooth indeed. A little bit of a wiggle there through there, but it didn't lose him any time, and that is excellent stuff. By now, the Nissan Skylines began to look a little different. As well as bits of front spoiler, other parts were missing. The rear wing of the Skylines began to disappear. Ron told us why.
It gives you a little bit extra top speed. It obviously gives you more stability. The stability towards the end of the run has been bad, but it actually has given me more top speed. It's given me about 4 or 5 miles an hour more top speed.
It wasn't long before we saw the result of this. Okay then, Ronnie's Skyline R33 GTR versus Steve Ross in the Granada V8. Surely not a competition here. Take a listen to that as he heads off the line. Well, he's miles ahead of the Granada. It's all over and Ronnie Skyline flies. Look at him go. Losing the rear wing had worked. Ronnie in his R33 clocked a totally unreal top speed of 196.6 miles per hour. This R33 GTR is not a car, but a missile. Ron Skyline was almost 10 miles an hour faster than Simon Norris's Evo 5. Ron talked to us about his car.
It's 670 horsepower at the wheels, running a T78 turbo. Well, I bought it 3 years ago as a modified car, and although it was okay, it wasn't really what I wanted. I'd had a standard one before and I didn't like that, and I preferred a modded car, but the modifications weren't what I wanted. So I found Mark at Abbey Motorsport, and basically I told him what I wanted out of the car, and over sort of like probably a period of a couple of years they've built it for me. Final piece of the jigsaw really is just the 6-speed sequential gearbox, which we're still waiting for, but once that's in, then the car's going to be absolutely perfect for me.
Now this could be interesting. Martin Bell's Fireblade Fury up against Christian Doran's Toyota Supra. A real battle of the small lightweight track day special against against the big power Supra. The Supra has 500 brake horsepower, but what will it do about the much lighter weight Fury? Away they go from the line, and a good start by Martin Bell. Now, how good can the Supra react to that? And away goes Bell. Look at him go. The Fury is flying on the right-hand side of the course. He's absolutely putting the Supra away here. So Simon Norris in the Evo 5 versus Lisa Diamonds in the GTI R on the near side. Both competitors looking for a good start, and a good start by Norris. Not a good start by Lisa at all, but she's got speed now, and look what's happened. Norris has stopped completely. Something's gone wrong. It looks like a transmission problem by the looks of it, and Diamonds away. Poor Norris is sitting there. He's going to try and get it across the line, but something's definitely not right with that car. Well, the crowd are certainly being treated to some spectacular cars and what looks like some spectacular retirements, including one of the favourites, the Norris Evo 5. Simon looks on as the mechanics check out what had happened. Pretty soon they find out the problem. The rear diff has broken. It's not an unexpected problem, the result of big power and torque plus hard launching. All that needed to be done was to take the old one out and put in a new one. The mechanics got straight to work. Maybe, just maybe, they knew something like this might happen. Once fixed, would it last? Jonathan Urry in the GTI R on the left-hand side up against Jed McDade in the R33.